Alright, so what we did in the previous videos, we just looked at some basic kind of like how to add some sculpt using clay buildup. You'll notice that it's pretty jagged here. So what we want to do is add more geometry, right? So if we hit Shift F here, you can see that we have a pretty small footprint for polygon size. So you can go over to geometry here and then click divide, right? And that's down here. And you'll notice it smoothed it out even more. So when we go to sculpt this, you can see it adds a little bit more geometry. And the way that I was able to smooth out some of these edges is just by holding shift. So something like this, right? Something like that. So you can kind of go in there, play with your pumpkin size, accentuate this area here. Now another thing is, I'm not a huge fan of this matte cap white um, material. That's what makes it look like it's a wax candle. So we're going to go over here and click on matte cap white, and I'm going to look for matte cap, or I'm sorry, that matte cap red, right? This guy, the red wax. I'm going to just click on matte cap white. That is what I am a fan of. You can see here. So that'll give us a better idea, especially when we go to paint this thing. Something else that could help us out is we can add some color to this pumpkin, right? And so one way to do that is expand your subtool here and turn on your paintbrush. Now you don't see anything, and that just means that we want to be able to see paint when we go to paint on this guy. So with that compress, if you don't have this compressed, you're not going to be able to see the next change. We're just going to go over here to color, and you can undock it if you want for a second, just to look at it. Here, let's drag it over here. Oops, well, we need that tool, so let's go up to tool here. So if you ever make that mistake, and just re-drag this. And then let's go to color, and then I'm going to just find like a deep orange like that. And when I'm happy with that color, you'll see if I turn this on, you're not going to see anything. If I go to color here and I hit fill object, you'll see now the object is filled with this orange paint color. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys in another video how to actually paint it, but for now that's good. So what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and create that stem that's at the top of my pumpkin, and it's going to sit inside of here. Okay, so let me carve that in a little bit more. So for that, what I'm going to use is a cube, and I'm going to shape that out. So down here in my subtool panel, I'm going to go down to a pen, and then I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to Cube 3D. And you'll notice that it encompasses the whole area, and it also turned it orange. So I'm going to turn this on so we can see it in our white. And one way of switching between these is if you hit, I think it's N. Is it N as in Nancy? If you hold Alt and you click, you'll notice it switches them. So I can switch between my pumpkin and my cube. Another way is just to simply click on it in here. Now, to move this and adjust it and scale it, I'm going to press W or select my move tool here, and you get your locator. And what I can do is I can click on this arrow or click on this to move it freeform. And I'm just going to scale it down from this uniform scale, and then I'm going to scale it up. So what I'm doing is kind of creating a nice little box that's going to represent my stem. Oops, I don't want to rotate that. So there we go. Scale that in a little bit. All right. Now, what I'm going to do next is I want to merge these together on one layer. All right. Now notice I'm holding Shift to snap. Another way is if you hit P for perspective, you could see it as in perspective versus orthographic, right? Or I'm sorry, perspective versus orthographic. And that's I'm hitting P as in Paul. So I'm going to hit Q to go back to draw mode. And I'm going to merge these down so that they're all one piece, right? So on this top layer here, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then I'm going to go over here to merge, and I'm going to click merge down. And it says this is not undoable, and I'm okay with that, so I'm going to hit OK. Now, you might think, oh, that merged it and made it one object, and that's not the case, right? So even this thing here, if I hold Control and Shift and I click on it, you can see I actually messed up, right? Like, it's not sitting completely in there. So what I can do is hit Control and Shift and click on it, then press W again. So I think I might be moving everything. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'm moving everything. So let's see if we do solo mode. If I click on this, there we go. And I can move that down by turning solo mode on. So that's one way of adjusting it. Okay. So I hit solo mode, then I hit Control and Shift, and that allowed me to go into solo mode. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Q, right? And I'm going to make sure that my masking isn't on. Now you can see that it intersects it. It looks pretty good. Now, in order to make it one seamless object, notice that they're two different things. I want to do something called dynameshing. and that's located under geometry. I'm going to go to Dynamesh here, and I'm going to click Dynamesh. And now you'll notice it went ahead and welded them together. And that's going to help me out a lot because if I want to create a stem, so I'm going to hit B for brush here. Let's go ahead and hit Shift F to get rid of that thing. So B for brush, and I want to grab my MT, move topological brush. I can kind of go in here and I can just kind of adjust this little arc here. I grab my clay buildup brush, or like I said, if you hold shift, you can kind of smooth out those edges, and I can start to form out a stem. All right, and I want it to go all the way up. So B, and then clay buildup. So CB for clay buildup. And I can start going in here, and I can, I can affect the area that if I want to bring that closer together, something like that. All right, and also when I hit Control D now to divide it some more, it gives me a nice uniform bit of geometry. So go ahead and kind of form that stem. So something like this. All right, and then the next video, we'll go ahead and make the eyes and the mouth of our pumpkin and look at poly painting.